A pleasant day to everyone, especially to our professor, Mr. Rodrigo Lacay Jr., and to my fellow professionals who are present today. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Winston from Stern Summer State University, Borongan, lecturer in College of Hospitality Management. Today, I will be discussing about the food and beverage legal framework. So, hospitality industry practitioners should know the basic principle of law that is commonly utilized in the operation. Future member of the hospitality industry should be armed should be armed with a working knowledge with the legalities of every action that must be made in the performance of their duties. So the competence of legal knowledge serves enable the hospitality establishment maintain its good standing in the community and the relation in the government. As a citizen of this country, one has to know the fundamental law of the land, which is what is the fundamental law of the land? The Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land to which all the people should conform. It also provides for the right as well as the duties, law which regulates the relation of the state and its government. Basically, the Constitution contains the system and framework of the government, various rights, and duties of its citizens as well as powers and incidents thereof that the public officials and other offices may exercise. A civilized society requires a basic set of rules to govern the conduct of the members as well as the prescribed procedures in resolving matters affecting the way of life. So, there are some purposes of this law or regulations. First is the self-determination. So what is self-determination? The Constitution determines the people's right to govern themselves and recognize the equal rights of all to build a political, economic and social system of our own free choice. So that is self-determination. The second one is the embody the civic spirit. It contains the spirit, hopes, the aspirations, the expectations and desire of its authors as well as the highest value of citizens. The last one is to provide the legal framework. So, it identifies the boundaries between the authority of the government and the right of its people. Before I continue my discussion, I would like to add or to insert this one. I would like to give some knowledge. I would like to share some knowledge to my fellow classmates about the article or estasis of human relation. So, human relation have three estasis. First is to act with justice. Second is to give everyone his due. The third one is the honesty and good faith. In order for us to know that we are a good citizen, let us try first to ask ourselves, am I acting with justice? Do I give everyone his due? Am I a good observant of honesty, of good faith? Then if yes, then you are. You are part of the hospitality industry. You are a good citizen. To continue, I would like to further discuss about the legal framework. So when we say legal framework, it refers as a rule of conduct that are approved by proper authorities. Hence, just an obligatory upon people covered by the same. So it is a law. It is intended for the benefits of all the members of the community. So in the business world, abiding the law is very significant for continued successful operation. It is a choice. It is also a key to peaceful working environment. By this, it is important to bear in mind at all times that in order to avoid unwanted obligation and to live life peacefully, one has to follow the law. Further, if one cannot follow the law in this entirety, at least there must be a calculated risk of not following the law. But of course, that is your choice. Sabi pa nga in the article in obligation. What is obligation? Sabi pa nga, obligation is a juridical necessity to give, to do, or not to do. Whether you do it or not, that is already part of your obligation. But of course, that is only depend on the scenario. There are some point that we must have to follow the law because yung magiging consequence is to be imprisonment. Pwede kang makulong. But there are some laws and obligations that are not necessary. There is no a big corresponding punishment for not following the law. And sabi pa nga, in human relation, sabi pa nga, we don't have a right to someone's opinion. And that is true. We don't have a right to someone's choice. That is true. But if you are already affecting the rights of other people, your right is no longer your right. That is only your privilege. Na kahit kailan pwedeng mawala because right is in balance. We have the right to express our feelings. We have the right to say something bad. But the person that we are referring to has only the right to remain silent. Has only the right for good morals. May karapatan din siyang hindi mapagsabihan ng masama. But we have the right to express our opinion. But sometimes, our rights is no longer our rights. It becomes our privilege. So, to continue, the main point of this topic is about the Republic Act number 10611. This is an act to strengthen the food safety regulatory system in the country to protect consumer health and facilitate market access to local foods and food products and for other purposes. Otherwise, this is known as the Food Safety Act. Food Safety Act of 2013. So, in Article 1, it is the declaration of the policy objectives. This act shall be known as the Food Safety Act. And then in Article 2, the definition, which for the purpose of this act, the following terms shall be defined. Yung una, advertising refers to the business of the conceptualizing, presenting, or making available to the public through any form of mass media, fact, data, or information about the attributes, features, quality, or availability of food and its related products for the purpose of the promoting its sales or distribution and enhancing economic activity. So in Article 3, it just the same. This is part of the code 10611. In Article 3, the basic principle of food safety. Section 5, the food safety requirements. That is important, the food safety requirements, because the government they want to ensure the good health and the good quality product that must be distributed to the community. One of the reason that's why government want to have this kind of hazard is that the government want the people to be feel safe, to avoid contamination or illnesses, to avoid, what do you call this, viruses, for the safety of the community, of course. The Article 3 is the basic principle of the food safety. To ensure food safety, the following general guidelines shall be, kumbaga, subjective. Food safety requirements shall guide decision making on potential adverse health effects that may occur from the consumption of the food, and to the need to identify risk management options. So in Rule 1, Rule 5.2, the food business operator or EBO and regulatory agencies shall take the necessary steps to be knowledgeable of the condition under which food could become unsafe or injurious to health. So, this basic principle or this article stated that in order to have a good health or a quality product, yung government nandyan just to ensure that the food that will be distributing are safe. So, may tinatawag silang control procedure. Pag tinawag na procedure, step by step or a sequence of steps or an objectives na magkaroon ng quality standard yung isang nasyon or isang production. And in Article 4, it is the general principle. The food law objectives. What is the objectives? Objectives are a sequence of steps. Food laws shall aim for a high level of food safety, protection of human life and health in the production and consumption of food. Yun na nga. So, it shall also aim for the protection of consumer interest through the practices in the food trades. Yun yung general principles niya. So, this general principle shall serve as the framework for the development of food safety standards, regulation, and measures for meeting the objectives of the Act. Ito yung tinatawag na measures for meeting the objectives of the Act. Ito yung measures and for meeting the objectives of the article. To ensure the high level of food safety and fair practices in a food trade. And the Article 5 states the responsibilities on food safety. So in Section 13, it was stated that the principal responsibility of food business operation shall ensure that foods satisfies the requirements of food law and that control systems are in place to prevent, eliminate, or reduce risk to consumers. So, in this article states that the responsibility on food safety, dapat yung pagkain papasa sa standard ng food law. If that would not be passed or qualified, yung pagkain na isi-serve or yung product ay hindi rin approved by the government. So, as what I have said before, this is a law, a regulatory rule. Rule siya, kumbaga, batas na in order to come up with that kind of business, you should have this kind of standards na pwede mong mai-provide sa community. If you don't have that kind of standard, then you should be careful of selling your product. Kasi mahirap magbenta na walang, kumbaga, sa item, walang ICC. Hindi dumaan sa quality control. And the Article 6 states that Food Safety Regulation Coordinating Board, yung tinatawag na FSRCB. In this section, it powers and functions. It stated the powers and function. This is hereby create a food safety regulation coordinating board, herein referred to as the board, with the following powers and function. So, yung isa is that establish the policies and procedure for decision making and implementation. This shall be carried out as soon as the FSRCB is organized. Second is when necessary maybe seek the assistance and advice of technical persons and other agencies and matters needed in food safety decision making. So in this article, the Food Safety Regulation Coordinating Board, there are some people who are assigned to this particular job or duties na sila yung gumagawa ng quality control. And then there are some people or employee na gumagawa ng technical, meaning to say pini-perform nila. They are there to check the quality of the product, kung papasa ba, kung substandard ba, if that would be risky for the consumer, kung makain nila, kung mainom nila. So, meron silang board. Kumbaga, meron ding grupo ng tao who are assigned to check and to implement the procedure. Second one is, isa pang trabaho nila is to monitor and coordinate the performance and implementation of the mandates, of course. Mandates of what? Mandates of DA, Department of Agriculture. The DOH, Department of Health. And, of course, the DILG. Connect sila. In the food safety regulation, of course. So, the FSRCB shall monitor and evaluate DA, DOH, coordination, including but not limited to the following areas. Ito yung mga areas. Policy and regulatory issues that arise from the implementation of the measures of the official control. Second, effect of regulations on food import and export trade activities. So, these are the activities. Not limited. Dapat hindi sila lumabas. In that kind of minimum, dapat lumampas man, hindi sila lalabas. May scope lang sila na pwedeng gawin. So, the third one is the exchange of information on standards and regulatory insurances and issuances and scientific data on hazard, monitoring and surveillance activity and others. Surveillance activity, ginagawa din nila. The management of risk, the control of fraud, and identification and evaluation of emerging risks. And also, the last is the evaluation of the impact of testing, training, and research program. Bakit ginagawa yung training at research program? It's a matter of to development para magkaroon ng mas maganda, mas quality pang product or service na may bibigay ng DA, DOH at LGUs to the people. Second is the Article 7. Article 7 is the crisis management. The crisis management, this section is a rapid alert system for the notification of a direct or indirect threat to human health due to food shall be established by the FSRCB. Ito yung crisis management nila. The Nation Rapid Alert System for the food and feed shall be established to identify the sequential notify of the existence of the direct or indirect threat to human health from food. Second, for the National Rapid Alert System for the food and feed shall consider the existence of international systems. The contact point for the National Rapid Alert System for the food and feed. And Section 24, the emergency measures. So, where it is evident that the food originating from within the country or imported from other country is likely to constitute serious risk to human health. So the board is the one who control if the product from the other country would be past the quality standard of the Philippines. Hindi pwede na they will be exporting product without knowing the government that they are exporting. That is illegal. So, ito yung paraan nila para ma-manage yung quality and then to manage the crisis. So, ano yung nangyayari if the products are open for the other country to drop here in the Philippines? So, nagkakaroon ng economic imbalance. Bakit? Pumapasok yung mga product, nabibili yung mga product without giving that proper tax to the Philippines, to the government. Hindi nagbubuwis. Yung binubuwisan lang, yung taong nagpapapasok. But that is not, but there are some issues in customs. There are some issues in customs na sinasabi nila, there are some products in other country na nakakapasok sa Pilipinas without permission. So, dyan lang sila nanghihingi ng lagay or toll gate dun sa people who are some employees who are working in customs. Yung iba nakakalusot, yung iba okay naman. But that is part of the government na in order to have the crisis management na may manage yung kahirapan or mabigyan ng kalunasan yung kahirapan ng isang nasyon, that would be proper if the export products dadaan sila sa agency ng government. Hindi pwedeng i-bypass. So magdadrop lang sila ng magdadrop dito sa Pilipinas and the people of the Philippines will buy the product. And yung nangyayari, walang tax. Hindi sila nakakapagbigay ng buwis. So, nalulugi. Nagkakaroon ng crisis yung community. So, in Article 8, Implementation of Food Safety Regulation. Section 26, Policy on Official Control. Official control are established to verify compliance with food laws and regulation and shall be prepared by each agency. The following shall govern the exercise of official control. So, may official control sila. Tapos, the official control shall be implemented by the way of regulation prepared by the FSRAs in accordance with the principles established in the Act. So, the implementation of food safety regulation. So, may fina-follow din silang steps how to implement yung safety regulation. Actually, this law, ginagawa siya kasi nga, this would be favorable for everybody. Hindi siya, pumapasa siya kasi nakikinabang yung karamihan. And this is subject for the people na mabigyan angat or to have the convenient life, na magkaroon ng convenient na pamumuhay. So, in Article 9, the training and consumer education. So, bakit mahalaga yung training and consumer education? So, that would be impractical or unuseful information if you're going to sell the product without giving any knowledge about the product. You'll be making a drink, a tequila, rum, without knowing or giving some information kung saan ba sila galing, kung paano ba ginawa, Because there are some people or there are some consumers na hindi sila aware na this product would give them a side effect or bad effect. Kasi nga, hindi nila alam yung background. So that is important for us in this article. Nagbibigay din siya ng training and consumer education. So, napakahalaga ng ganyan. Kasi making a product without giving information is very, very risky. So, for example, kung ako, I am allergy in prawns. And then, this product is given to me. Hindi naman subjective dyan, hindi naman stated dyan na this is made of prawn, ganito yung process, ganito. So, that would be risky for me kung kakain ako bigla without the prior knowledge about the product. And then the training. Of course, this is important kay in this article, the training and consumer education, ginagawa siya for us to have a convenient life. That would be convenient if the people are empowered. They know already, hindi sila mangmang. So, just to have a convenient life, kasi nga, may alam sila sa mga bagay-bagay. This article provides a skills training and offer instruction, educational objectives that shall be regularly provided to food business operators, food handlers, and government personnel. Dapat, you are making the law, you are implementing the law, you have that kind of backup or setup na the law is provided, the training and consumer education will be provided also. Magkaroon ng balance na hindi naman mahirapan yung mga tao. And Article 10 states that the foodborne illness monitoring, surveillance, and research. So in this section, the foodborne illness monitoring and surveillance, the government, in the support of the risk analysis, shall implement the following programs. Yung una is the unintegrated foodborne disease monitoring system that links to the source of food contamination in collaboration with the DOH, NAC, and NCDDPC. And the rule of the DOH, NAC, and the NCDPC shall collaborate with the FSRAS to strengthen the sharing of information and foodborne disease for the development of appropriate risk management measures. So, ginagawa siya just to have a quality control, tapos magkaroon ng control procedure within the process of the law. Na gagawin natin to because if some instance, o kung ito man yung maging effect or disadvantage of this kind of implementation, we have the backup or we have that knowledge na in kaso ito man yung mangyari, may magagawa tayo. We have the solution. Kasi nga, may tinatawag na chief effect, may tinatawag side effect, may tinatawag tolerance. Yung chief effect, yung main effect. Pag tinawag naman ng side effect, yung side effect. Yung hindi inaasahan, pero daw inaasahan. Tinatawag na tolerance pag nasobrahan. So, in foodborne illness monitoring, surveillance, and research, meron silang mga tao na gumagawa or will practice and train to have this kind of ability na in case na ito yung mangyari, may magagawa sila to minimize and to avoid the problem or the existence of problem. In Article 11, the policy on fees. Siyempre, hindi mawawala. In this section, the Department of Agriculture or DA, the DOH, the Department of Health, and the LGUs, where applicable, shall be allowed to collect collect fees for the inspection of the food product production, and processing facilities, issuance of the important or export certificates, laboratory testing, and food samples, and other fees as may deemed necessary. Kinakailangan. So, ganun sila maningil. So, policy on fees. Walang libre. So, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Health, and LGUs where applicable and shall be allowed sila mag-collect the necessary fees for the testing, laboratory, for the certificate, for the processing. Parang business lang din yan. Hindi naman gagawin ng isang batas. Wala din naman mapapala yung isang government. Of course, just to have this law to regulate or to be implemented, dapat yung government, income generating din sila. Magtatayo yung government ng ganito, magtatayo ng ganito. Saan sila kukuha ng pondo if will not be collecting fees from the people? So, ganon. Ganon sila kagaling. And Article 11, Article 13, this is already the final provision. Final provision, this section implementing rules and regulation. There's an implementing rule and regulation are jointly issued by Department of Agriculture and the DOH as mandated by Section 37 of the Food Safety Act of 2013. So the IRR, the Republic Act, jointly amended and or updated the need arises by the Department of Agriculture and Department of Health. So, all doubts in the interpretation shall be resolved in favor of the protection of the health of the consumer and in the manner of consistent with the declared policies and objectives of RA, Republic Act. Ganon. So, in final provision, the Act may be jointly amended. The manner consistent with the declared policies and objectives of the Republic Act. Ganon siya. Ganon nagawa yung provision. So, question. What are the rule of the regulation in the food legislation? Ano kaya yung rule? So, the primary rule is that the primary purpose of the food legislation are to protect the health of the consumer, to protect the consumer from fraud, and to ensure the essential quality and the wholesomeness of food laws. The food laws must first provide the legal authority and adequate legal framework for the food control activities. Ganon yung purpose niya. So, what do you think? Why it is important? Why food laws and standards are important? So, it is important. This is important because the aims of the general food law is to protect public health. Ganon siya kahalaga. Because people are the consumer. People are the business target. Are the consumers. Interest in relation to the food. The regulatory applies to all stages of production, processing, and distribution of food and feed with exception of domestic activities. So, ganon. If you have any question, you may call or PM me in my messenger. Have a nice day. My name is Winston. Thank you.